coming on and being a part of this conversation. Why don't we open with a prayer? The Lord be with you.
Also with you.
Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all that you give to us, for these people gathered. We ask that you continue to be present in our lives, as we know you are, in our anxieties and fears. And Lord, guide us in the ways in which we share your loving word and the grace that you offer to us in abundance. Help us as ministers to be able to find creative ways to share that to people whom you love so dearly, and in turn we them as well. We ask this in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
Well, welcome to the second iteration of the Formation Roundtable. Just as a sort of beginning remarks, it is helpful to try to keep your microphones on mute. That way, if there's any background noise, such as a 3-year-old screaming for to want to watch a Barbie movie, or math homework, as you can tell, it does kind of help cut down some of the noise. Also, if you have the ability to turn your video on, I think it is at least anecdotally proved to help facilitate the conversation a little bit more. Again, this is intended to be a roundtable, one of which this is a time and space to share ideas about the work that's being done in your parish, to group think about some challenges that you might have, but also to ask questions about and to think about new and interesting ways. I know one thing I would like to talk about today is what parishes are, and this is just one topic of conversation that we could have, but looking at the Easter season, what might be some formation options that either y'all are working on or have identified as possibilities during this time of sort of separation, physical separation from each other. And I don't know if there's other questions or thoughts that might want to be discussed over the next 40 or so minutes, but know that this is a good space for it. So given that, I'd like to open the floor to any sort of conversation or thought. Okay, well, just to maybe get the conversation started, what have been some thoughts that y'all have had about engaging your communities formation-wise for the Easter season that's coming up in 2 short weeks?
Well, Jimmy, for the kids, I've been doing YouTube videos just from the experiences I've had watching my young son on Zoom with his classmates and everything. It's not super productive so far in getting stuff done. It's great for social interaction for that age. So I'm not opposed to meeting on Zoom so they can just sort of talk to each other. But for now, I'm videotaping my lessons. And as far as Holy Week and Easter goes, I've sort of just been trying to come up with like how-tos at home, simple stuff like flowering the cross. That's a huge tradition at St. Matt's. We have this beautiful cross, and I buy these, flowers, and we put it in and everything, and I'm sure you guys all do the same. So right now, my goal is how can I do this at home with things that I have and show the kids how to do it in a way that's super simple. So So trying to figure out how can I help these families maintain the same traditions that we have at church, but doing it on a smaller scale, you know, at home, and making it really fun and not sad. If that makes sense.
So thinking of the traditions that you have, that St. Matt's does, and then looking at ways in which you might be able to engage in home. So you're trying mostly through YouTube, that sort of medium.
For my younger kids, yeah. And then for our adults, Zoom has worked really well. We have a couple of different formation classes, but I've really just combined them to one on Sunday, and it's open to all. You know, last week we did a podcast discussion, but I think this week we're going to do something more scriptural based, so that we can focus more on biblical teachings and not so much what's going on in the world. Not that that's not important, not that people don't need to discuss it, but personally, I would like to sort of elevate the conversation to something, you know, really, really spiritual, and not get wrapped up in sort of a cyclical conversation about what is bad and stressful and, you know, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. How's everyone else? How have y'all found online formation working in your own context? Have you found it that people are talking about, yeah, or maybe just derailing, and for lack of a better word, or refocusing away from sort of the curriculum you've done, or to talk about the anxiety that they may be feeling? What I don't know, what's been the successes, Jane?
EFM was separated for a couple of weeks, and it was driving them crazy. So by the time they got to a Zoom call that they could do gallery view, because it's a pretty small class, they were thrilled with it. Mm-hmm. And it has re-energized them going forward. So I'm hoping to do that with some of the other ongoing classes, but on the other side of Easter.
Right.
I've been focusing more on creating communal space for people to pop in. So I really enjoyed doing these Netflix watch parties on Sunday evenings. And then which you can do through a Google Chrome extension. But you have to have a laptop or desktop to do it. And then I just purchased some Jackbox games on my computer. And so the next thing I'm hoping to set up would be some game opportunities where you can Zoom and then share the screen for it to be the game, and then people can enter in answers and stuff on their smartphones. But what's neat about those things is there's still this other level of kind of pastoral conversation that's happening while you're doing something that is fun oriented. So that's where we've kind of been.
Yeah,
that's
we've
cool.
been doing a lot of the same, in the sense of we kind of, as a church, Bibbs can speak this too, but we as a church kind of were formal formation as far as an hour of Sunday school doesn't really work with what our people want or what they need right now or what they've asked for, or kind of just what our parishioners are looking for in this time. And so that's kind of gone out the window, and we've been focusing on just creating community and helping people connect to each other into the church in a way that's meaningful and adds value to their lives. And that looks different for different age groups, but with all of our Bible studies have gone on Zoom, and those have been really successful, and they've been actually going longer than they usually do when we're not on Zoom, because people are craving that community and craving the ability to talk to each other and kind of feel seen and heard. And like Tina was saying, it's been nice because just to end with like general prayer requests and asking a kid to pray out at the end has been also helpful to kind of keep tabs on people and just understand like where they are and understanding what it's like to be doing high school right now or do whatever they're doing with their lives. And so that's been at least really helpful for me, even if it's maybe not as good of like formal formation as it would be if we were having Sunday school.
Thoughts to that, Hannah?
We're kind of doing similar to what Addie said, and I actually borrowed one of her ideas about doing like a lunch bunch. And so we started doing that with our middle schoolers, and it is so fun. They love kind of that space just to be together. And so when we switched to offering that and a separate high school, we decided that they really do want that space with their church family. And so we're adding an EYC on Sunday nights, which has been really cool. But I wanted to talk about, we this afternoon are doing the Faith in the, what is it called? I'm losing my mind. Building Faith Holy Week boxes. And so we are setting it up like a drive-through. And so we're having people like pull into the front, and we're just going to run out with like a little box and palm frond. And so we've printed instructions for them to like learn how to do the palm crosses. And then we're going to send them a video. And it's been really cool because it's not just youth and families. It's a lot of kind of older members of our congregation. So we're hoping it's a good kind of intergenerational thing that we can get some traction on. And then one of the ideas that we're working with for Holy Week is to do like a sacred space, like social media challenge. So like challenging everyone to set up like an area in their home where they can do home worship. And we're going to create some sort of hashtag where we're going to ask people to like post pictures of it so we can see what that looks like. And then all of our clergy, all of the films that we're going to be putting out for Holy Week are going to be them standing behind their holy space at their house. So it's kind of like a look inside. So we're hoping that that will kind of encourage people to stay home and watch the service on the laptop on the altar or whatever that looks like. So we're excited about those two things. But the Holy Week in a Box thing, we have over 120 people that have signed up to come get it this afternoon. So we're excited about that.
Wow. So for the Holy Space or Sacred Space Challenge, are you asking them to kind of describe it, or is it just sort of out there, you know, just a picture, like the landscape thing that's going through Facebook right now or something like that?
I don't think we're in the beginning. Yesterday we're really like, oh my gosh, we got to get going on all this. So we haven't really gotten that far down the line, but I'm hoping that we can like pull together some sort of resource where we can like give, here's some things and what they mean that you could include, like to give people kind of like a starting ground. But we haven't really gone that far, but I think it's a really cool idea. And it made me think personally about, I'm still in the office today, but like when I do switch to being at home, what I could do personally to kind of create a space like that. So I think it's a cool idea, but I would love feedback or suggestions on it.
Yeah,
so we're doing something really similar, and it was from, I'm trying to, Bibbs, if you can pull up what Dorian sent us. I'm trying to find it as I'm talking, but we're doing something really similar where we have like all of our Holy Week stuff sent out of like, this is activity for your family on Thursday and things like that. But it starts off with like, create a holy space in your home. And it's the same prompt, Jimmy, maybe you'll know it, that apparently we give to campers when they get to grab it for like their small group space. Mm-hmm. To tell kids like to go and make a sacred space for themselves where they'll like do reflection and things like that. So we have instructions where it's like, find a space in your home that can just be for this. This will be where you do Holy Week. This will be a sacred space in your home. Whatever you can add to it to make it a sacred space. Like if you have like, put your Bible there, put your BCP there, but like maybe get your Advent wreath candle. That was like a candle that you've already kind of like designated to be special. Put it there. Or if you have like an icon or like last year's Palm Sunday cross, just like things to just make that space different and set apart, and then continue to go back to it every day of Holy Week. that was really helpful to get from Dorian, and I'm going to try to see if I can find the language that we were going to use. I'll put it in the chat part of this.
I would love to see that if you find it.
So what are some applications for that sacred space in an Easter season? Obviously,
what do you mean by that question in the Easter season? I think you probably, if you can get your hands on an Easter lily or white flowers or something like that, is that what you mean? How would the person use it during Easter?
Yeah, well, obviously, you want people to be able to continue to go back to the space that they've created for this Lent and Holy Week and Easter, and so there's a theological shift, obviously, about that this is a celebration of the resurrection, and the stories that we hear in Easter are about the appearance of Christ, and the movement of the people that follow Christ into the development of the church, and all those kind of things. And so I just wonder if we have these great sacred spaces, I think, after all this stuff around Easter, I could see sort of a precipitous sort of decline, and so how can the sacred space be, this is the long haul after Easter, right? Like, we're about to go into Holy Week. There's a lot for us to be able to engage folks with, as far as connecting into their faith and developing their discipleship. And so I think once we get into an Easter season and the rest of April and into May, that those sacred spaces could be really, really important. Or if not sacred spaces, other things that you're doing can be really important, and maybe even more important, given just kind of people are going to be entering the long haul of this, and so how might we use the creativity that we've done in ways that have sustaining sustaining ability, to where and just using the Holy Space idea, which I think is fantastic. But what else might they continue to collect and put into their sacred spaces, right? And why does that meaning? And then with Tina, like, how do you go and check back in with them, or I can't remember who said it, but how might that be a way for people to reflect and reconnect in those exercises? I don't know. I don't have any answer for it, but I do think that the work that we're doing now sets a framework for this long haul that we're about to enter into. Yeah, Mia.
I would say exactly what you said is to, it seems like we'll probably have to continue to encourage and remind people that space in their home can be a lot like coming to church, and that continue to put things there. My presentation for Daughters of the King was all about creating a sacred space, and it took off like wildfire, because I think people have a longing or some kind of desire to have something at home that reminds them of what's going on at church. I mean, that's a Roman Catholic idea. The church, the home is a little church, and so home is an extension of the church, and so you'll have people of really liturgical mindedness who have a little shrine or an altar at home, because it's an old Roman Catholic idea that, whatever you do in the church, you do at home. What you do at home, you do at church. As it goes to liturgical and spiritual practices, they've got an Anglican rosary, put that there. Green things that grow, or you can put a green tablecloth there when we get into ordinary time, if we are not back in church by then, which I don't think we will be. You can put the liturgical colors there if they have them. If they don't have them, and they may go out and buy a nice green placemat or something, or red, or the colors that we use, or remind them there. Candles, all the things you talked about. I think continuing to encourage them to use it, it gives them an anchor. I mean, mine gives me an anchor of, I can turn to here. Here is why I go to pray. Here is why I turn to get comfort or strength. And I just think we'll have to keep encouraging folk. I don't know how we'll do that, but whatever way we're getting them to create the sacred space, we just kind of keep checking in and see, you know, how's that going? You still have it. We might find out that they keep it. You know, I like this so much, I'm just going to always keep something set up at home like that. So you can even say that, you know, hope you keep it. Maybe you keep it all the time.
Yeah, so I listened in on the Holy Triduum webinars that VTS put out, and I thought it was really interesting the way they talked through it is possible for you to be in your home and have this altar space that you wash your table, you know, if you are gonna bring things together that represent your faith in your house, and stripping those things away, and taking time to wash your table, whatever your altar is, and then creating the opportunity to set it back up again for Easter would be neat, and it would be a reminder. I mean, if you could encourage people once they've reset their space for Easter, one thing that was really one of the resources says to you know, if you're with a family, that you wait till the kids go to bed and bring all the Easter stuff, those pieces back out kind of while they're sleeping, and so they're waking up into this new space and having this kind of disorienting dilemma, and still getting to have some of that teaching ingrained in the experience. But there might be something too, I think it'd be interesting to think through what it looks like to continue that space throughout the rest of the 50 days.
Thoughts from anyone else?
I think that's I love that idea of continuing to provide resources after Easter is over, right? And as we talk about formation, to me, that's the epitome of a great Sunday school lesson, is doing that and understanding why you change the colors and what you take away or what you add. So I really like that. And I think that's a good, I don't know, I'm all about that. I'm excited to draft something that looks like that we can include in our stuff.
Nice. Well, please share as you guys are putting that together. Who else is doing stuff right now?
I am in the last stages of editing. I can't get the pictures to insert in a publisher document. Publisher and I don't get along that great every now and then. But because most of my folk at St. Luke's are older, and you young people, y'all have no idea how hard it is to get them to check their freaking email. Even harder to say, hey, get online and do this. Get online and do what? Yeah, no, we don't do that. And half of them are like, yeah, I don't want to learn, too bad. And then some of them like, yeah, you know, I'll help. So what I've been doing is encouraging them, if they've got a son or a daughter or a grandchild, you know, ask them to help you, show you their phone. They can get on Facebook Live and see the service that I stream, but you know, we don't have all the fancy equipment, so the lighting is not great, but you know, it's what I offer. That is comforting to them. I've got that strong feedback, and because they are so non-digital, they're like, whoa, we didn't even know that could be done. And I'm like, y'all have no idea how much better it can be done. But for them, this is all new. Some of them are like, wow, I can't view anything because I don't have a computer. I don't know what to do. And so the booklet, which is going to cost a lot of money to produce. I mean, it's going to cost about $200 to print these booklets out. And then we've got to print the labels, like all 75 of them, and then take them all to the post office. And I don't even want to think about what the freaking postage is, but that's what they're used to. And that's the only way that I can help them engage with Holy Week. I feel like I have to offer something, but it's difficult when you're folk. I mean, all this stuff is great, and I'm on the grid. I mean, I love it. They have no clue, no way to access it. We sent out an email today. If you want to hear Mother's Meter service from last Sunday, click here. Half the people will click where it's in blue here. May happen, may not. But I'm just being honest. I especially want young folk to know there's some people, whole sections that are just like, no, we're not doing that. And, you know, I don't know what your churches are doing to help those folk, but I always like to keep, they're in the front of my mind now because that's my congregation. But for y'all, it may be in the back of your mind because, oh, everybody can get online, and no, everybody can't. So, you know, providing something that they can do, or if some people I will have to call and say, hey, why don't you try setting up this in your house? And I have to have some strong boundaries because it becomes a 50-minute conversation, and it can't be that. So just keep those folk in the back of your mind. If your church is really on the grid, they'll just, and they won't say anything. They'll just sit there and go, they won't say a word. They just won't. They'll just be left out, and they won't say anything about it. So, you know, that's what we're doing. The booklet is just the services from Holy Thursday, and what I've done with Easter Vigil and Easter Day. I love the Exalted, and if you ever heard anyone sing that for Easter Vigil, it is just a sermon and a song. And so I printed the text of the Exalted. I'm going to try to find a copy of a Paschal candle and put that in there. And then for Easter Day, and that's one of the richest things about the Exalted for me, is that particular narrative of our salvation. And then the Pascha Nostrum, which is on page 85, I think, it's a canticle for morning prayer. Another canticle that most people aren't familiar with, but go all the way through the salvation history. So I'm printing those because that's something that most people may not see or hear. So that's kind of where I am. Hopefully I can get it done into the printer before it's too late. But they will have it before Monday, Thursday. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Thanks, Mia. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I mean, there are a lot of canticles and things like that we have in the prayer book that would be good, potentially good sources of formation and conversation that throughout a Holy Week, Easter, and and all of Eastertide. That's a really good idea, including whole services.
I do have a question though. Is anybody doing a resurrection garden project? Is anybody doing that? Where you take this pot and it's empty and you put I think it's on Building Faith. That's where I first saw it. Is that you make a resurrection garden that it's just kind of like this little terracotta pot, and it's on the side, and you put this big old stone next to it. I mean, my hope was for us to do that as an intergenerational thing and say, hey, you could put that on your home altar, really. If you made your own, put it right there on the thing. I was hoping to make a big one to go in the narthex. I still may do it. Nobody will see it, but I'll take pictures of it and send it out. But that was something on there that just struck me. And I used it in my Daughters of the King presentation. And you should have seen people go, whoa, that's really cool. Well, I had the same reaction because I didn't know about it. until I went poking for stuff. But it's a resurrection garden. You can make it out of a tray that chicken or meat comes in. I mean, it's really cool. So if you have a chance to go on Building Faith and look at that, that's something fun you could do. Because you don't have to have the 3 crosses. You can just have the turned over pot with the grass and flowers. I mean, you could do whatever you want to with it. So I just wanted to know if anybody's doing that or thinking about doing that at all.
We did those for several years, and we would do them at the beginning of Lent and have everybody do them together at Sunday school thing, and then take them home, and then they would bloom and grow throughout Lent. Because we've done them for several years, Jan Rhodes, who's our family person, came up with a new idea where she's doing, and we did these, we were able to do them again at the first Lent and give them out, but I think anybody could put one together. It's a larger thing of sand to represent the desert and the wandering in the desert. And there's 6 candles, 1 for each week, and sort of like an Advent wreath. You light a new one each week, and there's a new thing to do each week. So there's, they bury Alleluia under the sand. There's a cross. There's a pretzel, I think, to talk about the manna in the desert. You know, I mean, there's different things that go with each week, and it sort of helps the families to go through Lent with each week. So you could do a similar thing. I think you could do it for just the days of Holy Week if you wanted to, that would have a different symbol or something that went with it. So yeah, I mean, that's a cool thing.
Yeah, and that's making me think, I know that we're kind of bouncing back and forth between Holy Week and Easter and Lent and all that in this conversation, but I know that my plans, if we were having everything function like normal for the month of April in youth ministry, like this was going to be like a month of creation care Earth Day stuff, since Earth Day's in April, and we've pulled back on pretty much all of our programming because we all have, and so I've been trying to figure out how we're going to do Earth Day when everyone's in their house. But that could be really cool, actually, if we could do something like planting a garden, and like, because that has so much to tie into Easter too, of like new life and things are growing, and talk about like the church spreading and like spreading the good news and like what that could look like. But to do that with seeds and planting things and like using that holy space to maybe like plant a new little plant and watch it grow and talk about the church growing. And just exciting.
Yeah, even if y'all, you know, there's, you know, Holy Week in a bag and things like that. I wonder if you're going to do creation care, if you could do seed bags and pots and things like that you could give out to folks, so where they have common things that they're growing together. You know, common things that they're growing together in a way in which they can then have some commonality and reflection and things like that. That'd be really interesting. Who else? We have about another 10 minutes maybe. Ideas from others?
Well, can you hear me?
Sure can.
Okay, this is Anne Marie. I noticed my name's not up there. It's my fault. From St. Philip's. So we've just been doing Zoom services online with Father John, and tonight we have our Stations of the Cross, which we started before the pandemic started. So we're just continuing with that, and you can sign in and attend the service. And usually when we have our Sunday services, people just want to talk at the end of it or the beginning. He gives us about 15 minutes at the beginning, and everybody just says their hellos and everything. And yesterday I just completed a newsletter, our first Baptized for Life newsletter, because everything we planned on doing just kind of stopped. So we have to reorganize, regroup, and think of how we'll do all the things without meeting as we planned on. because we even had started a new sewing ministry. We can't do it now. I got all the materials that we needed and we can't meet. So a lot of the things that we would have done, just meeting and getting involved with, we have to cut back on. So I'm just trying to take a step back, think of how we do this. And what I notice is that people really love when we get together. We've done 2 Sunday mornings so far, and everybody sits in their living room, family room. I'm in my family room now. And you get to see everybody and just kind of banter back and forth. And then the service starts and we work out the kinks. And at the end of it, you just feel encouraged because you saw your church family. So our congregation is very small and it has a lot of older members. So, you know, we just do whatever everybody wants. That's how we kind of work things through. So we don't have a lot of children's programming because our kids are mostly babies. So there isn't much you can do with them. And it seems to work out. So we're just trying now to learn how to grow to do this as more people are at home. And I think the interest will be there. So, yeah.
Thanks, Emery. Time for one more piece of wisdom. Yeah, Bibbs. This will be our last one.
One thing I will share that we have done, and a huge thank you to Alan Bentrup. We have always done children and families, Ways of the Cross, and following up on your comment about the Stations of the Cross. And what we did this time was have the children record through the voice memo each station, and Alan, bless you, has been able to put those voice memos with each picture. Most of the pictures are from years past, but I think the children will enjoy seeing themselves and hearing their friends. And Illustrated Faith has the different icons, and what I've asked the families to do is to color those icons and designate certain areas of their house for the Stations of the Cross, so that they will do that on Good Friday. Good Fridays, I've just found, has always been a tough one to hit with the children and families. So just FYI.
Thanks. Well, thanks for being on here. I hope this was a helpful time, just kind of talking through things, at least getting this the Jesus flowing for post-Easter, Eastertide, kind of working out some of the details from Holy Week and just a little bit of time just to get to see each other. It's really great to see all the faces that aren't 9 and under, but so y'all are a blessing to me right now. Be well, and we'll be offering these check-ins every other Wednesday until they're not useful. And William, you want to say hey? Yeah, so we intend to do this. We also have pastoral care, worship. We did worship already this morning. We also did mission and outreach a little while ago. There'll be a transition one coming up. These are all recorded, so they'll reside on our website at edusc.org. And if there's ways that we can make this better, or you need something different than what we're doing, please feel free to let Alan and myself know, because we're here to do things that are going to be helpful for y'all's ministry. And I want to be able to maximize your time and the ways in which we engage with y'all. So again, thank y'all so much for being on this. I hope this was a blessing and helpful, and people got some good ideas. And if ideas come in, share them, please. Well, take care, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Happy everything coming up.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, William.
Hey.
Bye, William.
You're all saying bye to you.
Yeah.
Bye, William.
Do you want to say?
Bye.
William, I finished The Mandalorian the other day. Good.
Yeah. Cool. Bye. Faxi, it was really good seeing you.
Thank you, Jimmy.
See you.
I'll pass all this on to Maggie.
Yeah, good. I'm sure you'll have some creative things going on too. So feel free to share.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.